Azerbaijan, neither of us were there. Both of us watched it. I thought it a brilliant Grand Prix in what is a brilliant season of Formula One. And we got to hit Oscar straight away. What a drive. What a feisty dive that caught Charles a little bit sleeping. And I don't think Charles will make that mistake again.
Well, we've seen it now 2 weekends in a row, or 2 races in a row. We saw what happened to Norris at Monza. And Lando was caught unawares there for sure. And so was, a mega star of the future, Charles Leclerc. He's no sleeping giant. He's big time in Formula One. And young Piastri came up past him. And you know what I found most interesting? And the reason why I said years or months ago that I thought he was world-class material, when he passes somebody, DC, he makes it stick. He's not floundering around looking for different angles here or being ridiculous flying across the track, one side of the track to the other to make sure that he retains the place. He did it all very correctly. He made one move, which is entitled to move, and he only ever made that. But, he had his mind made up. He had the mirrors in such a way that he knew exactly where the pass is likely to come from. He made his move then, and he didn't move off that. God, I think he is absolutely stardust, mustard. I did write to Mark last night, and we had a bit of a conversation about the whole situation. Honestly, Mark Webber is in the most unbelievable situation, but then so is Piastri. They both have a most wonderful, wonderful atmosphere and team together that guys, we'll be talking about this as long as Whisper and your company want me on your program, DC.
Yeah, no, I think Mark and Anne, Mark, of course, we had on for part 1 of a podcast interview. We'll be getting Mark back on again in the future. But Mark and Anne have done a brilliant job with Oscar. He's the real deal, lovely family, very unassuming, but boy, is he committed when it comes to going wheel to wheel. So, yeah, you called it early. He's definitely a man to watch for the future, and very impressive to watch right now. Now, you mentioned about delivering a pass and not getting involved in incidents. We've got to get straight into what was a really underwhelming result for both Ferrari and Red Bull, Carlos and Checo coming together. Now, it's been analysed to the nth degree, and some suggesting that there was movement to the left from Carlos, and that's where it led to the contact. But I think this was just, both of them need a good look in the mirror, because yes, there's no question that Carlos was moving slightly to the left, as is the normal sort of thing you would do as you run along the straight. But Checo's got clear sight of him and should have reacted. I can only imagine at that point Checo was in sort of overload mode in trying to win back the position that he'd lost.
Absolutely.
And he just didn't react quickly enough. So I don't think it's a clear-cut blame one. I think the two of them have cost themselves and their teams by just not giving each other enough space on a straight as well. It's one thing if it was in a braking zone or at the apex of a corner, but you've done the difficult bit and you're both just now accelerating. So, really costly for Red Bull in the Constructors' Championship. That now puts them behind McLaren. How did you see it? What would you have said if it was either of your drivers?
Okay. For sure it was a racing accident, and I applaud the stewards. That's what they came out, and that's what I saw. Yes, Carlos moved off the wall, but he wasn't going to glide along the wall for all the way up to the next corner. So, of course, he had to move to the left. At the same token, I think there's no doubt that Checo slightly moved to the right. And, there's an area there. Look, DC, you've been racing a huge length of time. I haven't been racing at that stage or that level for any time as such. However, I do know that when two cars, whether they're Formula 4s or Formula 3s or whatever they are, any kind of cars, when they rub that closely together, generally the wheels touch each other and they move away without any kind of force or anything like the velocity that we saw yesterday. So I think they were both extremely unlucky. And I, as a team boss, would have had great difficulty apprehending either of my drivers if those two drivers were there. I think it was one of those just goddamn unfortunate incidents that adds more fuel to the fire, that says, hey, what an unbelievable season we have, because it brought excitement to it. Although, having said that, I hate to see the race winner going over the line under a safety car. That really doesn't do a lot for me. So a little bit, when you look at Oscar, he's had a few very unlucky situations where things have been, the glory days or this or that or the other, they've been taken from him in different situations. So a couple of things on it just to round it off. I thought that Oscar was truly amazing. Well done to Leclerc, because he held it strong for such a long time. The two drivers, I can't really give out to either of them. I can't hold either responsible. It was just that sort of a thing. Further down the field, I suppose a good bit of luck for Russell, because, of what happened in the past when he was disqualified. So his podium was a bit of a surprise by his own sake when he was talking about it. And I have to say that we were all, it's one thing Oliver Bearman coming into a car that he knew and had tested when he was in Ferrari and he finished 8th. And then out of the blue, what happens? He gets a chance in a Haas, where Magnussen is disqualified for a race. He gets in the car at a very short notice, I'm sure a completely different driving style, and whatever reason, he finished in the points again. I mean, that's remarkable. And what I loved about him was when he had his ding-dong with Lewis, he was nobody's fool. He was in there fighting and maintaining his position. I have a lot of time for this kid.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Just quickly stepping back on the Sainz-Perez thing, I think that's a very measured position that you've taken on it. I actually thought you were going to go, geez, a case of Dumb and Dumber, coming together in that way so late in the race. But I think actually you shine a light on the just slightly unfortunate the way the tyres touched. It dragged them both into the wall rather than sort of bouncing off each other. But anyway, disappointing undoubtedly for Red Bull. Brilliant for McLaren, because they're now leading the Constructors' Championship. And you, as a former team owner, you'd be licking your chops, wouldn't you? Because that's where the money is.